Hi, welcome to my channel, The Magic of Math. Today, I have a lesson for you on car loans and depreciation. These are real-world exponential growth and decay functions. So today, our objectives are that you, the student, will identify principal, interest, simple interest, and compound interest. You will write and evaluate exponential growth and decay functions to represent compound interest and depreciation. And you'll recognize the effects of compound interest in a savings and in debt. So here is what I want you thinking about today. How does compound interest impact your cost when you purchase something using a loan? So that's what I want you to think about. What will the impact be on you in your real world when you are out on your own and you are making purchases with a loan from a bank? So first, let's talk about what compound interest is. In a previous grade level, you should have learned about simple interest. Now we're going to use our exponential growth knowledge to find compound interest. Compound interest is a real-world example of an exponential growth function. Compound interest is earned on the principal amount plus the interest already earned. I hope when you learned about simple interest in a previous year that your teacher told you that that wasn't the quote-unquote norm for a bank to give you simple interest. So there are times where you take out a special certificate of deposit or something like that. But when you have a savings account, the typical way that interest is calculated is compound interest. You're typically paid a percent per year, and you get a portion of that every month. So the reason that it's called compound interest, because it's the principal that you put in and it's already on the interest earned, is that unlike simple interest, every month you're getting money, the bank puts money into your account, and the next month you're getting interest on what your principal is, the money in the bank, plus the previous month's interest. So we call that, it's compounding. So you're earning interest on interest. Whereas in a simple interest loan or savings account, you're only going to get a one-time interest payment when the term is done. So compound interest is what's preferred unless you have money that you are going to set aside for a long-term investment. And a typical checking or savings account is calculated using compound interest. Okay, enough of that. Let's look at this formula. So this looks like a really complicated formula, but if you really understand and connect this idea to exponential growth, it becomes easy. So our initial amount is what we used to talk about when we talked about in the previous lesson for exponential growth. If you haven't watched that, go ahead and watch that video first. But this P is our initial amount. Our initial amount here relative to a bank account is principal. That's what we call our initial amount. Principal is either the amount of money that you're putting in to save in your bank account or the amount of your loan, what you're borrowing from the bank to buy something. Inside, we have our 1 because we're going to have 100% of our principal. And with compound interest, we're going to add. And it's the interest rate, which is your annual interest rate. And when you use it in a formula, you're going to write it in decimal form. And you're going to divide it by n. And this n is the number of times that interest is compounded per year. So if you have a yearly annual interest of 6%, you're going to get 1/12 of that every month. So you would put 0.06 here and divide it by 12. So when a bank says that they give a 6% annual interest rate, you don't get 6% per month. You get 1/12 of 6% every single month. And then out here, you have to calculate your exponent is going to be the number of times that that interest is calculated. Well, it's going to be calculated for T number of years and N number of times per year. So let's say you have a 5-year, you leave it in for 5 years and don't touch it, you're going to get interest 12 times 5. You're going to have interest put in that account 60 times over the course of 5 years. Because for 5 years, there's 12 months in every year. 5 times 12 is 60. So you will have 60 interest deposits into your account. All right, so I know this is a lot. Let's go ahead and apply it. So we're going to calculate this together. We're going to calculate compound interest on a savings account where you've deposited $100 into the account. And we're not going to touch it. And it's going to sit there in the savings account and it's going to earn 6% annually and compounded monthly. So that means that compounded monthly means every month the bank is going to deposit an interest payment to you. You're going to earn money. So we're going to write a function that represents the balance after t years. So that means we don't know the number of years that we're going to save for. So I'm going to bring up our formula that I told you about here. But again, this is really just exponential growth written in the terms of money. So our principal, our initial amount, P, is $100 because that's the amount of money we're putting into our account. And then our rate that we're earning interest at is 6%. That's our R that we're going to write as a decimal. And our N is 12 because the number of times that it's put into our bank account is monthly. And there's 12 months in a year. All right, and that's all we need to know to write. So now we're just going to plug all of this in to the equation to write our function. So Y, our balance, remember this Y, what this is going to equal is the balance of our savings account. So our principal, our initial amount is $100. We're going to keep 100% of that, and we're going to add to it the 0.06% divided by 12. So every time money's put in there, we're going to get 1/12 of 6%. Our exponent is 12 times t, because it's going to get, for however many years we put in there t, 12 times per year. All right. We're going to simplify this by dividing, and we get 0.005 or 5 1/1000ths. And one more step, we can add this. So the real final explanation that we can give for a function is the Y, our balance, is equal to $100, our principal, multiplied by this power, which the base is 1.005, representing 100% of what we've put in, and this 5/1000ths, because it's each month, and then 12 times t, the number of years that we leave our money alone. So now I want you to consider, we're going to keep our function. How much money will you have in your savings account if you've put in $100, earning 6% annually, compounded monthly, and you don't make any withdrawals or any deposits? So we're not going to add anything to our bank account, but we're also not going to take anything out of our bank account. What would you have after 5 years? So here's how we would use our exponential growth function. We're going to replace t, the time in years, with 5. So when you multiply, you get 12 times 5. So you're going to have to use a calculator, 1.005 raised to an exponent of 60. That value multiplied by 100 will get you 134.89. So our balance after 5 years, if we don't put any more money in the account or take any money out, will be 134.89. And we would have earned $34.89 in interest just for leaving it in the bank. So our $100 after 5 years has become $134.89, and we earned $34.89 of interest. Okay, your turn. You're going to deposit $500 into a savings account, and now it's going to earn 9% annual interest compounded monthly. I would like you to write an equation that represents the balance Y after t years, and then I want you to use your function to identify how much money you will have in your savings account after 7 years if you do not make any withdrawals or deposits. Please pause, calculate, and come back and check your work. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. So let's write our function first. Y is equal to our initial amount, our principal of $500, because that's what we deposited into our account. And it's going to grow at 100% of this, plus our annual interest rate, written as a decimal, divided by 12, because it's compounded monthly. So each month we get 1/12 of the 9%. And our exponent is going to be 12, because it happens 12 times per year. We can simplify this to be a base of our power would be 1.0075. how I got this was 0.09 divided by 12, add 1 is equal to this base. All right, now we're going to use it. We're going to replace t with 7 to calculate our balance after 7 years. So here's our balance after 7 years. Let's do the math. So 12 times 7 on your calculator, that's the exponent. So 1.007 raised to that exponent, which is 84. Then multiply that value by 500. That will give you a new balance of $936.60. So you can see that we've earned in the 7 years $436.60. Far more money than we earned for only investing for a few years, but the annual interest rate was more. So you can see the more you have, we had 500 versus 100 and a higher interest rate. So you want to shop your banks and make sure that you're putting your money where you can get the most value for your money. And the more you save, the more interest you earn. All right, let's have some fun now. You're going to buy a car. We're going to buy this 2021 Honda Insight hybrid car. So let me give you some information that you're going to need. The starting manufacturer's sales retail price is, we're just going to assume we're paying this price. And this is the base. This isn't even a fancy car. This is just your base model. No bells and whistles. We're going to pay $23,130 for this car. But we're fresh out of school and we don't have $23,000. So we're going to get a bank loan. So we're going to get a loan from the bank, and they're charging us 3.48 annual interest rate. So now instead of earning money through your interest rate, you're going to pay the bank interest rate because you're borrowing $23,130 for them so that you can have this beautiful red car. So here's some questions for you. So keeping in mind that we can also use this formula of exponential growth to calculate the total cost of a loan. So I want you to write an equation to model the cost of the car if you purchase this and get a 5-year loan from the bank. Then I want you to use that formula to say how much you will have paid for the car after 5 years. And then think about how much you will have to pay per month for 5 years. Okay, so let's go through this. So here's what we're going to do. Here's our equation. Y, our total money spent, is the initial amount, which is our loan amount. Okay, our loan amount is the cost of the car. And then this is going to be 1, where I got this from, is 1 plus, we're going to have the 3.48% divided by 12, because we're going to pay every month on the car. So we have our amount here, which is what we're going to pay 5 years times 12, because every month for a year is 12 months times 5 years. So we're going to evaluate this now. And after all 5 years, we're going to have paid a total of $27,519.05. So you can see that there's a difference here of just over $4,000. You're going to have to, after 5 years, you will have paid the bank over $4,000 in interest so that you could have a loan to have the car because you did not have $23,000. So if we divide this by 60, because that's how many times we're paying the bank, that's going to be how many months we pay for it. So for 5 years, that's 12 months per year. 5 times 12 is 60. We divide this value by 60. That means our monthly payment to the bank so that we can drive this shiny red car is $458.65. Now, mind you, that's just to the bank. That's not car insurance. That's not taxes. That's not maintenance of the car, like oil changes and tires or windshield wipers or oil changes or putting gas in the car. That is just to the bank. All right, now let's complicate things. And this is your real world. As soon as you drive that brand new red car off the lot, it starts to depreciate. Depreciation of a car is an example of exponential decay. most cars will depreciate at a rate of about 15%. So for today, we're going to use 15% per year. So we're going to write an exponential decay equation that represents y, the value of our car, after t years. So here we go. Our initial amount, which is what we purchased the car for, and then we're going to have 100% of that, and we're subtracting 15%, written as a decimal, per year. We're going to simplify that, and remember our decay function is always less than 1 because it's going down, it's reducing, so 0.85. So basically what this means is every year the car is worth 85% of what you paid for it. All right, and now I want you to think about something. What will your car be worth after 5 years? So you're going to have paid a bank just over $450 per month for 5 years. Aren't you curious what your car is worth at the end of the 5 years after you've paid all that money? So we're going to replace t with 5 and evaluate. Your car is now worth, after 5 years, $10,262.90. So after 5 years, it depreciates from $23,130 to $10,262.90. Here's something to think about. After 5 years, you will have spent $27,519.05 for your car, all to the bank. And you will own your car, but your car will be worth $10,262.90. Do you believe you made a good purchase? So that's car loans and depreciation, real-world examples of exponential growth and decay. I hope I gave you something to think about and some real-world application that you'll use yourself someday. And go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's lesson. And I hope you'll sign up to receive notifications of future videos. Have a great day.